In 2005, a 15-year-old girl walked into a timber frame recording studio on 10 acres outside Franklin, Tennessee, and cut 3 songs for her first album. Nobody there thought much of it. The owner says he met her maybe once or twice the whole time she was there and never gave it a second thought. That girl was Taylor Swift. That studio is called Dark Horse. Before we start, a few quick words from the people who make the show possible, which is a fancy way of saying they pay for the microphone. Sphere is the CRM that I had a hand in creating and is the one I actually use. It's the reason I'm not rediscovering a hot lead from March in a text thread in November. Title teams, TitleSphere does the same job on your side of the table, and it's the only system integrated with SoftPro and other platforms you need to get the job done. Go to usesphere.com and titlesphere.io and use discount code OWNIT. Checkmate promo is my go-to for branded stuff people actually keep. Closing gifts, open house swag, team gear that doesn't die in a drawer. Go to checkmatepromo.com, same discount code, OWNIT. 10x Search. Now, 10x Search is why my name comes up when somebody asks Chad or Claude who should sell their house in Portland. They'll run a free market visibility audit for you and show you where you actually rank. They only take 1 per metro, so get to them before your competition does. Go to 10xsearch.com/ownit. That's the ad. Let's get into it. In 2005, a 15-year-old girl walked into a timber frame recording studio on 10 acres outside Franklin, Tennessee, and cut 3 songs for her first album. Nobody there thought much of it. The owner says he met her maybe once or twice the whole time she was there and never gave it a second thought. That girl was Taylor Swift. That studio is called Dark Horse. Dolly Parton recorded there, so did Neil Diamond, Reba McEntire, Carrie Underwood, Faith Hill, Shawn Mendes. And right now, the whole estate, the studio, the manor, the party barn, 10 acres along the West Harpeth River, is on the market for $24 million. My guest today is the agent holding that listing. Her name is Jamie Parsons, and she's been selling real estate for about 30 years. If you want to understand what kind of person she is, listen to how she got started. She wasn't an agent. She was a freelance production coordinator for TV commercials in LA. And on her days off, she'd go house hunting for herself. Not casually, obsessively. Every Sunday open house. And when she found a house she loved that wasn't for sale, she'd write a note, stick it in the mailbox, and ask if they'd sell it anyway. Eventually, she looked around and realized she was working harder than most of the licensed agents she was meeting. So she got her own license, mostly so she could put the commission toward her own down payment. The house she ended up with was an earthquake-damaged foreclosure, 1928 Spanish Revival, which was totally stripped, including the kitchen sink. She put it back together herself because there was no money to pay anybody. Then she held an open house just to see what would happen, and it sold that day over asking. She even picked up a client at that same open house and sold them at home a month later. Needless to say, she has never worked another day in TV production. Today she's at Compass. She lives in Leipers Fork, and she specializes in luxury farms, land, and legacy estates, plus the ultra-luxury end of Nashville, Franklin, and Brentwood. Her 2 headline listings tell you the whole range of this business. One is Dark Horse, the river, the acreage, and a piece of country music history at $24 million. She is also co-listing the Grand Penthouse at the Four Seasons in downtown Nashville. 40 stories up, 5,000 square feet, an Italian marble fireplace that floats in the middle of the room. $33.5 million. That is the most expensive home for sale in the Nashville area, and if it closes near ask, it's a county record. She's doing all of it as a solo agent, no team. And she's still flipping houses on the side. She's been doing that since 1994. She's doing all of it as a solo agent, no team. And she's still flipping houses on the side, which she's been doing since 1994. Oh, and she has stories. She's got one about moving graves. She's got another one about a seller who died 20 minutes before signing, while the buyer was already on the road with a moving truck. We're getting to both. Jamie, welcome to the Own It podcast.
Thank you. You brought me down memory lane there.
This is like this. I don't know, I tell this story and it's like, this is your life, Jamie.
That's what I felt like. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
It's an awesome story. So I hope you enjoy hearing it.
I did. Makes me feel old.
Awesome. So you got into this business by putting notes in strangers' mailboxes on your days off from a production job.
Yeah.
Tell us, what were you actually chasing back then? Was it the houses themselves, or was it something about the hunt itself?
the houses themselves. I love houses. I mean, I thought, oh, I would love to flip a house. Had no idea how to do it. I had zero intention of getting into real estate. And, you know, when it came down to it, there were neighborhoods I would absolutely canvas, and I wanted to buy a house and I couldn't afford it. And so I'm like, all right, well, hey, I'm on hiatus. I'll get my license, save the 20,000 in commission or whatever it was going to be. And, yeah, just knocked on doors. Like, I didn't know that agents did that. I had no idea until I actually went to real estate school. Did I realize that that's what you're supposed to do as an agent? So I just winged it. It came naturally, I suppose.
And actually, to create the inventory.
Yeah.
You know what I love is I'm yet to talk to an extremely successful person in real estate who has said, "Oh, my plan in the entire time was to get into real estate."
Was getting?
Yeah, I'm yet to talk to a single person who said that. No, like nobody imagined that they were going to end up doing
Right.
this, and I love hearing that journey and what they were doing before. So it's fascinating.
And I had no intentions of staying in it after getting that first house. And then, like you said, held the open house, got a client, just kind of hit it off, and they were looking for something else. And I still had my license, and I was on a bad job in production. I'm like, sure, I'll try to make a little more money. And then it just sort of snowballed. And then we bought another house and then flipped that and just continued on.
I love that. So about that first house,
Yeah.
uh, you had said that you held an open house just to see what would happen,
Mhm.
and then obviously that got you the client that you just mentioned. So 30 years later, what do you know about open houses that most agents still get wrong?
They'll get wrong. I don't know that they get wrong. Follow up is everything. I love open houses. I still sit open houses. If I have a listing, a lot of my listings won't let me have an open house, but I love sitting them, and I love people. I love just talking to them. My intention in holding the open house is to sell the house, not necessarily pick up a client. But if it's my listing, but just keeping in touch. That's the whole thing. And they may not be they may be a neighbor coming in, but they may have a friend who is looking in a year. And so you keep in touch with that neighbor. It's just keeping in touch and creating the relationships. It's all relationships. I'm sure everybody says that, but it's true. That's what it is.
Yeah, so I get the impression that it just suits you. You're naturally good at open houses, and I find that a lot of people who do well with them, they're not even sure how they're doing it because they're just being themselves. Is that how you feel?
Yes. And I also feel that I'm very bad at most of the other things. I just won't cold call. I will not knock on a door. I just feel so awkward, and I probably look awkward and sound awkward. But open houses is easy and fun for me. I really like them.
Well, it sounds like obviously, I mean, maybe there are some people that can do everything at a really high level. I have not met one yet, but I
Oh,
feel like everybody has. I feel like everybody has their thing
yeah.
that they enjoy and that they get
Yeah.
success from, and it sounds like this is your thing. And when somebody's feeling whatever that thing is, that's what they should lean into, and they'll have success.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So in 2008, you drove out to Leipers Fork and it hit
Oh,
you,
yeah.
but knowing a place is right is different from moving a 30-year business there. So walk me through the years between falling in love with this place and actually being able to make a living in it.
Well, that's a long story. I'll try to make it brief. My best friend, I'm from Malibu, and my best friend lived there. She got divorced, wanted to get her kids out of California, and she wanted a house in Tennessee. She saw some beautiful farms online. And so got her an agent, and I came with her, and we looked around. And by the end of, I think it was the second day of looking, the agent took us down to Leipers Fork, and we looked at two places down there. And I'll never forget, I turned and told her, I'm going to live here one day. It was just,
You just felt it.
I felt it like stronger than I had felt about anywhere else. And it's an, you can't explain it. It's intangible, but I just felt it. And I was married at the time, married to somebody else now, but married at the time. I called him and said, you have to come here. I've never felt anywhere like this. And he didn't feel the same way, and that's fine. But we eventually did get divorced. And when the divorce finalized, I didn't buy in Malibu or LA. I bought out in Leipers, but had kids and couldn't live. I wasn't going to move their state. And so went back and forth, bought a house, like I said, Airbnb'd it when we weren't there. And then we lived in it when we were there and did the back and forth for about 10 years until my youngest went to college and then moved out full time. But in the licensing part was working in LA. But I started flipping houses again, took a little hiatus from that. Everything was so expensive in LA. It just was, the risk was way too high for me at that moment. But it wasn't that way in Tennessee. So I decided, oh, well, this Airbnb is going well. Let me buy a little house, work on that, and then I can Airbnb that. So I did that. And so I did that once and I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, can get my license and then not have to pay all these fees. Got my license. And then I could work buyers because I could fly in with them or meet them there, but I couldn't list anything until I was here on the ground. So that was also very gradual from about 2019 until 2022. I worked a lot of buyers and my own stuff. And then when I moved here full time, started listing.
Oh, it was a slow, it was like a slow journey to
Yes.
build it brick by brick.
Yes, definitely.
So you've described Leipers Fork as being like the best of Malibu, but in the country. I like that description.
Yeah.
You've also said you're passionate about preserving what makes it special, and there's a tension there. So because you're one of the people bringing outside money in. So tell me about that. Tell me how you kind of how you do that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's not so much about bringing all the money in. That's fine. It's the part that I don't particularly love is all this subdividing. And so you have these beautiful plots of land, these old farms, and land out there is expensive and for Tennessee standards. And when developers come in and they can legally break it down to 5-acre plots. And so if you think about 100 acres down to even 20-acre plots, it completely changes the scenery and the whole vibe. And you have these big, lovely homes, but it breaks up that rolling farmland. So that's what I try to preserve. And I really, really do my best to search for and find those buyers looking to preserve the land. And there's something called the Tennessee Land Trust, where if you buy a property, you can build whatever you're going to build and then put it in a land trust, and there's a big tax savings. But what can happen? What it does is it goes on title, and so any future owners cannot subdivide. So there's good and bad to that.
So there's actual uh, regulatory ways to preserve.
Yes, exactly. It gives the landowner an incentive to keep the land intact. And, people want to make the most money that they can make. That's just how it is. But if I can find people who it's their dream to have a great big piece of land and a beautiful farm with rolling hills and horses and cows and whatever they want, or family compound, those are really popular right now, and the car barns and all that stuff. If I could find those people and can marry the land and them together, I'm really, really happy. That's my huge goal.
You're finding the balance.
Yes. Try to. Yeah. And you want to build a big, beautiful, expensive house, have at it. Like if you're building a 15,000 square foot house on 50 to 150 acres, it's not going to look really big.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
You could have a guest house and a tennis court and all your stuff and build a lake and just build everything. It's going to be beautiful.
I would love to see this. I grew up on the East Coast, but I've never been to Tennessee. So at some point, I'm going to come check this out. I've always wanted to go to Nashville, and I've never been there. So
Oh my gosh, you have to go.
I know,
But when
and
you go
this
to
conversation is going to make me want to go even more. So,
But there's Nashville, and then there's Franklin, and then there's Leipers Fork. And so you have to do all three.
Yeah.
Because they're all three very, very distinct personalities.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you're a solo agent, which blows my mind. You've said that the hardest thing you ever had to learn was that it's okay not to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
But here you are, you've got a $24 million listing and a $33 million listing. So there has to be something that you've had to hand off. And I want to know, what that is, and also what you'll never hand off, no matter how big it gets.
What I'll never hand off is the hands-on white glove taking care of my clients. That is number one to me. Everything is number one to me. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So I will have people help with marketing. Um, Compass has great marketing people, and I also have somebody who does a lot of email blasts and different marketing things. But again, they'll do the groundwork, but I have my hand on every single thing that goes out. Have somebody who helps sometimes with social media. I do have an assistant. I mean, I can't be two places at once sometimes and everything else.
Yeah, that
Really,
makes me feel better. I feel much better
what
that you at least have an assistant.
I do have an assistant. Yes,
Okay, good.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, good.
And I, ironic, well, I very recently have a transaction coordinator. I always did that too.
Wow.
Because again, the handing off thing, well, first of all, it's not like I do 150 deals a year. And so it was manageable. And because I'm so hands on with my clients, it was just easier just to send them everything myself. Because I'm talking to them, I'm like, hey, this is coming. You have any questions? Call me. So it just worked out that way. But I have discovered that other people can do that probably better than me. So other people can do marketing and I could still have a say.
Yeah, I've always felt, and of course I'm generalizing, everybody's different, but I feel like the people who are the best at the relationships and the making it, being the rainmakers, are not necessarily the people that want to sit and look at every dotted I and crossed T on contracts. And that there's other people that might be better at that than us.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying that because I'm actually
I mean,
horrible at it.
contracts, like you have
So
to look at the contract. But I'll tell you what was happening to me is I would be up at 6:30 in the morning and get all my that stuff done. And that would be my average day. Well, 6:30 is I do a devotional every morning. That's like how I keep sane and start my day. And then right after that, I won't open my computer until I'm done. And then open my computer, do my emails, and then I do all the paperwork and the transaction stuff. And then the real day starts like when you have showings and everything else. And then at night, I would do work on a lot of the marketing stuff and hit and miss throughout the day. And I was just working too many darn hours a day. And so finally, I did succumb to having help marketing, transaction coordination. But I still have really no intention of having a team. And I'm just very selective with who I work with, really nice people and people I like. And it's mainly referral based at this point, which is nice. And so that's really hard to hand off.
well, and it sounds like you don't need to. It sounds like it's working the way it is.
Right.
Is Tennessee an attorney state?
It's not necessarily an attorney state. The title company, they are attorneys, like there's an attorney at the title company, they're the closing company. But we don't have escrows like we do in California.
Right. So here in Oregon, it's not an attorney state. So we're doing all of the contracts, and we have dozens and
Hmm.
dozens of them, like dozens of pages,
Yeah.
with each sale. And that's why,
Yeah.
for me, I'm horrible at it. I'm such a big picture person that I
Yeah.
absolutely had to have somebody as soon as possible making sure I didn't make a mistake on the contract. So
I read over a contract literally no less than 5 or 6 times because I'm so scared of making a mistake.
yeah. Hmm.
And that's after, well, when I started, it was 3 pages. I don't even know how many pages we go through now. I just sent
Yeah.
something through today, and I think it was like 22. Not just the contract, but all the paperwork. So,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure there's downsides to being in an attorney state, but it really sounds nice to me to having a separate person do all that. Like an attorney, just like,
yeah. When you work with somebody who has a business manager and or attorney,
right.
you write the contract, but they review everything, and it's just takes this weight off.
Yeah.
It's nice, but we don't have that every deal.
Now, all right. So let's talk about what everyone wants to hear about, Dark Horse.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, love
So the
talking about that.
seller The seller, Robin Crow,
Yep.
got dropped by the record label RCA at 39, bought 10
Yep.
acres for $175,000 and spent 31 years turning it into Dark Horse. So here, like, how do you price this? How do you price something where part of the value is mythology? Like, it's not like you have buyers showing up to you saying, I want this much square footage, this many bedrooms, and I want Taylor Swift to have recorded music there.
Right. Um, it wasn't really priced on that. I think that's a bonus. And we've had people look at it just for sheer single family residence. And then we've had investors who we have two circling right now.
They want to turn it into a Taylor Swift museum.
Nobody's
I'm just
mentioned that.
kidding.
That would be a really have just to get the wax figures of
Yeah, right,
Dolly
right.
and that's a really interesting thought. Although I don't think it can get zoning approved.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you think about it, it's 24,000 square feet total under roof. And that includes all the studio equipment, all the furniture, 10 acres. You have the river down there, quality construction, very unique, 9-foot walls of glass, all this stuff. 1,000 square foot is not an out of line price.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that's how it was priced, not based on who had recorded there. That's definitely a perk, and it definitely invites a different kind of buyer, broadens the buyer pool a little bit.
Yeah. It's such a great story.
It's iconic, and he has put his it's his legacy, and it started small and built. You talk about anybody really who created their own legacy, that you start small and you keep building, and he just kept going. And there's Dark Horse Institute as well, which he created and built, which is a music school that's doing very, very well.
Amazing.
So yeah,
But Taylor should do a drop-in, class there, unannounced or something.
that would be great. I wouldn't say no to that.
You're like, I'm just suggesting things for her that she
Just give
uninterested in
it.
my opinion. Uninterested in
Yeah,
my opinion of what she should do.
right.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the other one, the Four Seasons Penthouse.
Yeah,
And make sure I'm saying this name correctly. It belongs to a Malibu broker, another broker, right? Chris Cortazzo.
exactly. Yeah.
And this is a very successful, obviously, because he owns the Four Seasons Penthouse, a very
Yeah.
successful broker in Malibu who's done billions in sales himself. So, what is it like to list a property for someone who does your job at an extremely high level? Does he let you drive or does he try to take control?
Well, Chris is a very, very dear friend of mine, and we started in the business together and had done many deals together in Malibu. So he knows me. He knows how I work. He knows the drill. He trusts me. I sold him other properties. Um, so he's a fantastic client because he understands the business so well. And obviously, this is a one of one penthouse, and he understands that it's the buyer pool for that isn't huge, and he's patient and he sees everything we're doing. It's co-listed, like you said. um, and he's very supportive, and if he ever has any input or anything, he's very gracious about it. He's wonderful. He's just a great human being altogether.
Awesome. So, we talk about days on market. It's obviously very important. Affects price.
Mhm.
Affects so many things. But you're at the very top of the market, and it means something different. These things take a while naturally.
Yes.
So I want to know in this scenario when things are taking a while to sell at this level, how do you keep a seller confident and steady when the right buyer might literally be one person on the whole planet?
Well, hopefully more than that, but um,
I think it is more than that, but I'm just, for example's sake.
first of all, I think it's just managing their expectation from the get go and letting them know that there aren't a lot of people who may want this particular property. And so it's my job to go find them and to push it out to everybody I possibly can, get it into the publications, get it into the podcast, get it in everywhere I can, the local magazines, the national magazines, and also personal private networking, like in Realm and in I go to LA a good bit, and I network with a lot of agents out there because I worked out there for so long. and in New York and the different conferences. And so it's word of mouth, email, lots of email blasts to different people, just keeping it fresh on their mind because maybe that client wasn't there 6 months ago, but all of a sudden somebody says, hey, I'm really into music, or my daughter's really into music. Do you know of anything? And it's just keeping it fresh on their minds. And I don't give weekly reports generally on stuff like that. But I definitely keep them updated. And as long as they see everything I'm doing, and it's black and white, like I send the publications and everything. So they're usually good.
For listeners who want to check it out, how can they go see these?
In person?
Well, even online. Like, is there? I mean,
Oh, my website, jamie-parsons.com. They're listed there, and or email me. I'll send you the flip books. I'll send you whatever you want.
okay, at the end of this, we're going to make sure that you tell everybody how to get in touch with you exactly.
Sure.
To do that, because I want to go. I'm definitely going to go to your website to go see it.
Oh, you should. It's great.
So,
And if you ever come to Nashville, I'll do a preview.
oh, would love to. Will do.
Okay.
I want to know. So you mentioned going to LA. So talk to me about that. Like, I know you were there for a long time, but
Mhm.
is that part of your business? Like, you go there when you say you go there to network, kind of
Mhm.
tell me how you do that.
For me, networking isn't just, oh, you go to an event and shake hands and wear a badge and share a business card. It's really going to dinner, going to lunch, keeping in touch, and it's friends, it's past clients. It's much more social. Um, that to me is networking, but making a point to call people and making a point to, hey, I'm in town. You want to go grab a drink? Hey, I'm coming to town. Can I pop in your office? There's rarely a trip that I don't pop into Chris's office. And, we just hang out and we'll talk on the phone. And he has other agents in his office. And so it's keeping in touch like that. Definitely more social, organically driven than, you know, hey, I'm Jamie. Here's my business card.
Yes, it's more authentic.
I feel like a complete dork.
Yeah, and going back to the days on market question, it's probably
Yeah.
easier with him in particular with the penthouse because he knows what it's all about.
He has $100 million listings. And,
He doesn't expect it to sell in the first weekend. So
no, no.
I want to know about if it's okay to ask this. I want to know about proof of funds for these kind of deals because I'm sure there's a lot of scammers, there's fakes. There's agents whose clients won't give it to you who are totally legit. But again, there's scams that show up around high end deals. So how do you verify that a $30 million buyer is real without insulting somebody who actually is?
Well, somebody who actually does have the funds generally wouldn't get insulted because if they had a property, they would expect the exact same. And as far as verifying, you have to. I had one not long ago, it's probably maybe 3 weeks ago, and they sent through it was an agent. They sent through a bank statement, and it looked real, and the lady's name was on it, but for some reason, it was this address in Franklin. I'm like, that's a weird address, and so I called the bank, and I said, hey, just verifying that this person has an account, and they looked it up, and they're like, can you spell it? Long story short, no account, no anything, and I told the agent, and it was completely fake. So you have to verify. And I've had clients who send me screenshots of their bank. I've had clients who say, you know what, have them Google me. I don't want to go through the hassle. I'm not going to bother my business manager. And then I will accept that as well. If it's somebody who's Googleable and they give me the client name, then I'm totally fine with that. I can tell my client, hey, it's this person. They know they have the money. So, but if an agent says, oh, I have an NDA, I can't tell you who the client is, I can't send proof of funds, I can't do anything. Usually I say, I'm so sorry. It's, I can't show it.
That person, going back to the person who didn't have the account and the whole thing is fake. Like, what's the angle? Is it just they just want a tour, or like is there
I
some
have
sort of?
yet to figure that out. There are, I can't tell you how many people will come up with these elaborate stories, and usually they come direct without an agent. Sometimes it's with an agent, and the agent does their due diligence. Is nothing on the agent, but these people are really good, and they're getting better, which is scary. Like that bank statement looked really real, and it was just the address that made me question it. But no, they'll. I have no idea. It's psychosis. Actually, a
Yeah,
friend of mine,
like I said, unless it's some like
friend of mine, she
obsessive
said,
Taylor Swift fan who just wants to see Dark Horse. Like
yeah,
I don't get the angle, you know.
I know. Or like feeling important is what I was going to say. An agent friend of mine, we were discussing it because we would get the same people. And then we all talk too. It's like, oh, if this person contacts you, just so you know, they're not real. Or we will sort of warn each other.
Yeah.
Because usually if they're looking at something of mine, they're or something in a 15 to $25 million range, they're looking at everything or calling everything. And so we kind of do tip each other off. But no, there's some elaborate stories, and I'm the what was it recently? It was for the penthouse, and he was the purchasing attorney for a very wealthy client in the Middle East, and like, okay, great, who's the client? Like, and just, oh well, I can't say that, and and then I called some other people, and they're like, oh no, he called me too. He's a complete fraud. So I have no idea,
Yeah.
but gotta be careful.
Okay, so the other thing I'm really excited to ask you about is that
Yeah,
you told my team that you have two amazing stories about death and deals. One about moving graves, which I gotta know about that, and then one about a seller who died 20 minutes before signing
yeah, about
while
that.
the buyer was en route with the moving truck. So take your
That's
time.
my buyer.
Oh no. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Well, that
Well,
one. That was crazy. Yeah, it was somebody who an older woman, her husband passed away, and she was selling the family house. She was gonna go into a nursing home. I had the buyer, and everything was great. Inspection was done, it was quick escrow. I still say escrow. We don't do escrow here, but um, and he was literally packed up. He was moving from out of state, ready to go, like have the truck taken across country, and um got a call. I was still in California. Got a call at like 5 in the morning, which would have been 7 in the morning here, saying, "Hey, we have a problem." Like what? And it turns out that the seller, that notary was going to the seller to have them sign, and the buyer already signed everything. Money was in, um, and she passed away, and it had to go to probate. I mean, nobody really knew quite what to do. We're just like,
it's
well,
easy. If it's happened to me, and the client looked at me and said, "Well, what happens now?" I'd be like, "I have no idea, and neither does anybody else I know."
you know what I said? I'm like, I'm gonna have to get back to you.
Okay, that's a better way to answer that than what I said.
And I'm Googling like crazy. What happens if, because nobody's really working yet. And it was too early. I couldn't call title. Couldn't, I wasn't going to call my broker at 7 in the morning. Um, so yeah. And
So what did happen with that?
so it had to go to probate, even though they did have a trust and a will. It had to go to probate to make sure everybody was paid off first prior to selling the house. And I think it was maybe 4 months delay, but the buyer had to move. I mean, they were out. They had to move, and so he bought something else, closed it really fast, and he bought something that he's really really happy now that didn't happen because what he bought he's much more happy with. So things always happen for a reason.
Yeah, so during COVID here, I mean, maybe this is the same for you. It was so wild and it was just off the charts demand. And
Yeah,
sometimes we would write on 10 houses in a row, 10,
yeah,
15 houses that they would lose out on. But then whenever they got a house, they would be like saying that they're so glad the other 10 didn't work out
exactly.
because this is
Always,
the best. And I
always.
I couldn't figure out like how could that be possible? And what I realized was what they were doing was they were with each house, they were comparing it. The next one had to be at least as good as the one they just lost or better. And it just kept improving, you know?
Right.
So I wonder if that's what happened. He was like, okay, it has to be at least as good as the other one.
It was a better house. It was a better house. It was timing. happened for a reason.
Yep.
And he was very happy. I mean, he wasn't happy that that happened. It was very stressful. But
Okay,
he
so
was,
this
and
is
that wasn't COVID, and he did lose several prior. And
okay.
literally was like 2 weeks, all cash, like anything, like I need a house. And he got one that he loves. He's still there. And that was, yeah, like I said, during COVID.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's great. I'm very happy that worked out well for him.
Yeah.
And so I've not had ever talked to anybody who's had to move graves in a transaction.
Oh,
So
right.
tell.
Well, we didn't actually end up moving them. And this was, every single deal I learned something. And I have been saying that forever. And it just shocks me that after this long, every single deal I learned something. So I learned all about grave moving laws in Tennessee during this transaction. And it was a farm, a beautiful farm. And it was a family plot because a lot of times they're legacy farms. And it wasn't a for sale, but the kids were selling for a reason, and there were two of them, and one of the siblings was moving to another farm and wanted to take her parent, who it was, with her,
Wow.
and they were married. And I was representing the buyer. The buyer was fine with that, and actually would have preferred that. Not that he was fine with them on the property, but was just concerned about people coming and going and visiting, and because he would have to allow that. So it almost broke the deal, but we were able to keep it together. And so what I learned is that in Tennessee, if all parties agree to relocate family members, family members from the past, you can do it, but they all have to agree. And one of the parties didn't agree. And that's what almost like broke the deal, was they couldn't agree. But then she gave in, and they're
So
still
is
there.
that is I don't want to say common, but is that something occasionally that people bury their loved ones on their property in Tennessee
In the past, yeah,
in
it
the
is.
past?
There's graves all over the place. I mean, there's probably, I think there's, um, I had to look this up fairly recently. It was something like 800 known grave sites in Williamson County, but they're on large farms usually, and a lot of times you'll see them. There'll be a little fence or something, and it's not. It could be two people. It could be 20 people. Generally, not that many. And then there's unmarked graves, which I personally haven't had to deal with, but I had a neighbor of a client who had to deal with it. And they bought a piece of land and they were going to build on it, but it turns out there was an old unmarked cemetery there, and so they couldn't build.
An entire
Yeah.
cemetery?
Well, not a tire cemetery.
Okay.
But it would probably be, we don't know. I mean, they're all unmarked, but they
Okay.
couldn't build there. And so in cases like that, you can hire a company, and this again, something I learned from
Yeah,
a deal.
my next question was going to be, okay, we're used to getting plumbers and everything for our clients.
Right.
But
Yeah, right.
is somebody's business moving these graves?
I don't know about moving them, but it is somebody's business finding if they're there or not. And
Wow.
they do it's not thermography. It's they go over it with some machine, and they can find if there's any old bones or anything on it. But they would do that in Malibu too, because that was Shumash country. And so if you were in escrow on a piece of land before you can build, you have to have it approved by archaeology. And before you would close escrow on it, you want that approved because it can hold you up for 2 years if the Shumash have to come out and do their whole thing. And so you just, yeah, kind of want to make sure.
Let's let's
Just
just
sure.
let's just add this to the list of the thousands of reasons why AI can never replace us.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
I wonder what AI would say about that. I
I'm
wonder if they
sorry,
would.
but like the number of things that we have to coordinate, um,
Yes.
just no robot's ever going to do that.
No, and also no computer is ever going to know the land or see the signs or know what's across the street or anything like that.
Yeah, I like recognizing our job security in that way.
I do too.
Okay, so let's talk about your house flipping. You've been doing that for a while, since '94, and you have experience in short term rental.
Yeah.
Most agents, a lot of agents do that, but most have not. They've never carried a mortgage on a project or
Mhm.
dealt with a really bad guest at 2 a.m. So how does having actually owned the risk change the advice you give to people?
Um, well, advice for flipping, just do your numbers. There's no guaranteed outcome. I was doing a house, it was a larger house. And so it was a risk. And 9/11 happened. And it's like, and there's nothing you could do about world events, but stock market crashes. Like there's nothing you can do except either hold on to it or cut your losses and move on. And I've been very, very fortunate that I haven't had any big losses, but yeah, it's do your numbers, give
When,
yourself
when you
some
say do your numbers, can you, in a sort of brief way, like kind of share what your process is? Like, how do you do your numbers?
uh well, I give that advice. My process, if I absolutely love it and become obsessed with it and see this vision of it that I have to do this house, like I cannot wait to get my hands on it. And what could I sell it for if I do what I think I can do? Um, and then roughly what is the budget? And AI has been helpful with that, I got to say. It will give you rough numbers on things where I would have to really do deep dives and call people and stuff like that. So that's AI is good for that.
So
Um,
does that turn out to be at least somewhat accurate for you?
somewhat what?
Accurate? Like
Accurate?
you're saying you put into AI like, hey, I want to do this and this and this to this house. I'm assuming you have to. It's location dependent, also.
It is. It is. And I will say that ChatGPT is higher than Claude. I would say Claude is more accurate.
Interesting.
And I'm not a big AI person, but I have fairly recently done like over the last year a lot of research on different things like that. And I would do only ChatGPT because that's what I was using. And I'm like, this isn't accurate. There's no way. And so my assistant
You seem
was
to be coming too high with chat.
they're coming in way too high. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Unrealistic. I'm like, have I been out of the game that long that like stuff costs this much? I'm like, it cannot be. And so then I ran it through Claude. I'm like, okay, that feels better. And it was just more realistic. But you can also, I do a lot of stuff, shockingly myself. Um, I love doing houses. And so, yeah, back to the numbers. Um, I get a rough estimate. It all ebbs and flows because I honestly have a general idea of what I'm doing when I go in. And I try to get things that I don't need an architect. If I can do it without permits, fantastic. I like remodeling versus and I've torn down, I've built on raw land. But it's a long process. But I really, really love the design part of it. And that just takes a long time to get to. So, um, if you don't need an architect, it's pretty, if you've done it enough, plumbing, electrical, roofing, anything like that, even changing a roof line, sometimes you can get away with, maybe you need a little structural, but that's not that hard. And just having a general idea of what I'm getting into and then carrying costs and closing costs added up. Is this higher than this? And if it is, I will try to pull the trigger.
Love it. And really, really good insight into Claude versus ChatGPT for that. That's interesting. So, Jamie, you've said that you never want to have any if onlys. So, after 30 years, two coasts, and selling the studio where Taylor Swift made her first record, are there any if onlys that you're still chasing?
Oh my gosh, how many? Chasing, I mean, that's kind of like I just, okay, your podcast. It's like, oh my gosh, I get shy sometimes, believe it or not. It's like, oh, if I don't do it, I don't want to say, oh, if only I did that. So that's just kind of my like, if only I did this or if only I did that. But my one if only, and it's always in the back of my mind, and it has nothing to do with real estate, is this book that I wrote, and it's a middle grade novel. But I used to write songs. And then I wrote this middle grade novel, and I was very passionate about it. And it's pretty much done. It's been to editors, and I started sending it out to different publishing houses and started getting traction. And then I got slammed. And so real estate took over, and I had to put it aside, which is fine because it's not going away. I could do it at any time. So that is one, if only, that I'm going to get it done at some point.
That is fascinating. And now that you've said it on the podcast, you have to go finish this.
Right? Oh my God, I just made myself accountable, huh?
Yep, you're accountable to all of us now.
Yeah,
And
I
then
will.
you'll come back on the podcast to talk about your novel that you've just released.
You got it.
Okay. Jamie, thank you so much for doing this. This has been awesome. Really, really fun to
So
talk to
much
you.
fun. Thank you so much.
Please tell everybody how to find you.
Yeah. So phone number 310-508-4008. Website jamie-parsons.com. Instagram, it's at James, spelled weird, JAMSE 3, the number 3. And
All right, everybody go to the website and check out these amazing listings Jamie has.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who would find value in it. For more conversations on leadership, business, real estate, and building what's next, follow along and connect with us online. Until next time, keep raising your standards and keep owning your next chapter.